Hi, guys. Welcome back to our non-toxic podcast. A little coffee ASMR, because that's what we all need first thing this morning. If you're listening to this on release day, I am recording this approximately 24 hours before it has to be out. Not actually, a little bit less than that, because I'm recording it at about 6:45 this morning. I want you to know how much I love and cherish this platform. And that is so much so that I'm willing to get up at 5:30 just to get to the studio and record before I have my marathon work day. Let me give you some backstory. So this is going to be a girl talk and catch up episode. I was hoping to be able to do a really in-depth girls trip tip list and talking about how I would recommend you travel with your friends, how I recommend all of that. It's just that I'm on a somewhat limited time schedule today. And by that, I mean, I know that I tend to talk for upwards of an hour, and I have an hour today. So for a normal person, this is probably ample time to talk about whatever needs to be talked about. For me, unfortunately, not enough. So we're going to do a whole life catch up because I haven't actually recorded in 3 weeks because I had a previously recorded episode and then an episode with Taylor that turned into 2 parts. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. It seemed like it did pretty well. So hopefully you guys are listening because you enjoy what she has to say and not because you need legal advice. But I don't judge. This is a safe space. So with that being said, I have a few little housekeeping things to discuss. Nothing crazy, mainly just the report. Everything in this episode is a housekeeping thing as far as an update on my life. So we're clocking in bright and early this morning, drinking a Monstera from Urban Grounds, as you could expect. Hannah gave me a cute little note. Hannah Hicks, the lead barista and manager and social media girl at Urban Grounds and a close personal friend of mine. If you guys haven't caught on to that part already, I don't know what to say, but I will pray for you. Have a great day. Heart, heart, heart. Hannah, I send that right back to you times 10. I hope you have a great day. Heart, heart, heart. As to everyone listening, if you haven't had a Monstera, it's 4 shots of espresso. It'll get you wired. That's my new fixation. They have a really great spring or summer menu, whatever month, whatever season it is. And everything on it is fantastic. It's just that sometimes you have to have a drink that just kicks you in the teeth and makes you want to take on the day. And that's what this one's doing because it's going to be a long one. Okay, let's go straight into the report. What am I reading? Nothing. Guys, I have been carrying around the Assassin's Blade book for about a month. I took it on my first trip to Arizona on the 6th of this month. It's now the 26th of this month, and I have not opened it beyond just the one time I looked to the first page to get a synopsis, get a little view of what we were looking at. And I'm just not in the mood for fantasy right now. I think that I've read too many because I read the entire ACOTAR series. I read all of Crescent City. I read The Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Then I reread ACOTAR. And I'm kind of tempted to reread Crescent City now, but I haven't quite pulled the trigger on that decision quite yet. But they're all amazing. And I really enjoyed every bit of all of those worlds. But there's so much to be learned, with the world building and fantasy and everything else, that I think I need a good palate cleanser. And my brain has been working too hard lately on things that probably don't deserve to have my brain working that hard. So what I'm craving is a nice little calm, a beach read, something super simple, girly, easy, feel good, happy, funny. It can be a romance. It can just be a nice little girly book. I really don't care. But hit me with your recommendations for things like that. I heard the Icebreaker series is really good as far as good romance and whatnot, and is just a fun little read. So maybe I'll dive into those. I haven't really decided yet. Let me know. I just need something to cleanse my palate before I go into the next series. I know I'm going to get so obsessed with Throne of Glass and the entire universe. My book friends have been you need to get on this yesterday, if not sooner. And I just haven't had it in me. I don't want to waste my time beginning the read if I don't have the appropriate amount of energy and focus to allocate to it, if you guys know what I mean. So hit me with your recommendations because right now I've just been carrying around a book and that's kind of embarrassing. Next, what have I been eating? Last night, my sweet sister-in-law brought my husband and I food, and my brother-in-law, credit where credit is due, both brought over some dinner for us, and I had the antipasto salad from Pasta Express. Amazing. Surprisingly fantastic. They also have a drive-through. It's a salad, but it's one of those that's there's salami and pepperoni and banana peppers and olives and all kinds of funky things on it, which is how I prefer my salads to be. That one was great, and now I've been thinking about it, and I will probably get one again today or tomorrow for lunch. Moving on. Playing lots of the Mamma Mia soundtrack. It's basically just ABBA, and it is the quintessential summer vibe and playlist. Everything is so great. It's just happy and fun, and it's a tradition now. I think I've conditioned myself Pavlov's dog style to when I feel the sun on my skin, now I just start hearing like Lay All Your Love on Me. So it's a must listen for the summertime, undisputable. Also, I have a little Tumblr playlist. It's like moody songs. It's like the Arctic Monkeys, The Neighborhood, really just any song that you've heard in a Tumblr/TikTok edit. Those songs have been saved. Lots of Lana, things like that. It was a really good soundtrack to my night flights because my last round of flights were all in the evening. So it's like an amazing playlist to just be moody and stare out the window and listen to. That was very enjoyable for me. I can link it if anyone's interested, but just know that it's like a lot of older, just really moody music, but who's complaining? Next, obsessing. So there's a trail that's like somewhat close to my house, and I don't want to like, I don't want to talk about where it is specifically because it's been brought to my attention that could be dangerous because not everyone who listens is a girly. Most of you guys are. Some people might be nefarious. If so, I'd really appreciate you not being here. However, if you are, I'm not going to list the location of the places that I frequently walk alone, but I've been going on these long walks, and sometimes it's difficult to find time for a really long walk because I tend to skew more towards like get a workout in, get it done quickly, let's move on whenever things are so chaotic. But sometimes what my brain needs is a long, drawn out like walk with no end time. Just get out, sweat because it's 1,000,000,000 degrees with 1,000,000,000% humidity, long playlist or no music and just let yourself think. So those have been my favorite things to do lately and not like focusing on time, especially coming off of my running kick, not looking at how like what pace am I walking and how long have I been here and everything else and remembering that everything has to be so expeditiously done. That's been a big like decompressor for me lately. So I recommend that. And one of my favorite things to do, this is really only effective for me if there's no one around, but more power to you if there can be people around. But I'll have my like big headphones on and I'll be walking and I'm not like power walking just in a straight line. I'm like listening to music and you're just jamming as you walk, like full on dance moves, doing what you have to do, lip singing. I hope no sound comes out. Sometimes I can't control that. The headphones are in. It's not my business, I guess, what sounds I'm emitting, but just like full on letting yourself like a 2 a.m. singing into your hairbrush moment as you're walking. I fortunately don't see that many people on this particular trail, so it's nice for me to be able to just be obnoxious. But you know what? If you're out in a public trail and you just want to let loose and jam and dance and just, I don't know, get all your energy out, more power to you. But that's been really fun for me. Next, this new charm necklace. I don't know if you can probably see it from super far away, but if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. It's from at Allie Eileen Co. on Instagram. She has a booth in Little Bluebird Vintage Boutique in Ozark, Missouri. It's so cute. She was doing this little thing where you can like send her a message and say that you want a custom charm necklace and tell her like the length of the chain, a couple minor details, and then based on your Instagram, she will make you a custom charm necklace. So I got this new one. I'm so obsessed with it. She did such a good job. And not only have I been wanting a charm necklace for a while because they're super trendy and I just think they're so cute, but it's so fun to get anything customized because you just want to know how you're perceived and you want to know like, okay, well, what would you pick for me? Because I know what I would pick for me and that's less fun sometimes. So even if I would have picked this exact necklace, it's fun to see how somebody else would have done that. And she did amazing. Then I saw her at a vintage market a couple days ago on Sunday and she had a pop-up booth with a bunch of other charms and I added a few more just because why not? The more the merrier on my neck. Next. Ross Dress for Less is so slept on and so underrated. I don't even know how to put it into words. I forget about it until someone brings up that we should go to a Ross Dress for Less. And once I go in, I'm like, this is possibly what shopping looks like within the gates of heaven. It's just the prices are so cheap that I don't really know how they stay fully in business, especially with those giant warehouse-esque buildings that they have. I'm thinking maybe it's a front for something, but that's not my business because I got this super cute jumpsuit. You can't tell because I have a blazer on over it, but like a double-breasted whatever romper thing. That's going to be fantastic for me shooting in the 91-degree heat today. But everything I get there is like $10 or less, and it's so cute. And sometimes I think, well, it's cheap, but it's not going to be cute stuff. It's going to be like things that are not in style anymore. They're not trendy or it's kind of chuggy or cringe or whatever. And then I go in and I proceed to find my favorite things I've ever owned. So if you haven't been to a Ross Dress for Less lately, this is your challenge to go and see what you can find. I would love to see. This most recent haul was actually in Charleston, and it was my brother's idea because he said there was a really good Ross Dress for Less, and I was kind of thinking, how is one Ross Dress for Less better than the others? He was right. I got so many baby tees, it's hard to explain. It was almost like I walked in, and much like the Room of Requirement in Harry Potter, the contents of the room just shifted to then be what I would need exactly. So lots of very similar white baby tees to come in the future, but they're all different and special to me in their own unique way. Moving right along. Recommending being more cringe online. And here's what I mean by that. I just got a message the other day posting something like, which these all kind of tie together because it's all relating to my life. So forgive me if we do a little hop, skip, and a jump around. But I posted something talking about how it feels like when you get online, there's basically just so much pressure and it's hard to feel adequate. Again, we're going to come back to that. So I'm not breezing over it because there's a lot to discuss there. But someone replied to my story and she was like, I feel this way when I look at your content. I cannot make myself post, or I don't post because of it. And I was like, you should not feel that way. I think that you are amazing and fantastic and have so much going on. I would love to see more of you on my feed. And she's like, it's just so embarrassing. How do you get over that? And I said, you sometimes don't. Sometimes I'll post things and look back like a couple days later and be like, was this awful? Am I completely blind to how cringe I'm being? And you know how there's this thing going around where you have eyebrow blindness or you have money piece blindness where you're just so used to doing something or you're used to having something that you don't know how bad it is until you change it and look back later. I feel like sometimes maybe that's what I have with content because one, trends go out of style and then you look back on your things from several years ago and you're like, why was I using that font? Why was I using this filter? Why was I editing like this? And why did I post this picture? Why did I think it looked good? And then sometimes it's a lot more rapid than that where I look back and I know that the trends haven't changed. I just feel like I misjudged if something was cute at all or not. So I told her sometimes that's just part of it and you feel embarrassed or you make something that you're super proud of and then when you actually go to post it, you're like, is this actually funny or cool or am I just imagining that? And now I've been staring at it for too long and it doesn't even look like it's good anymore. Like when you're reading a word over and over and then it ceases to have any meaning to you. Sometimes it's how I feel whenever I'm editing is that I'll spend all this time creating this project that I think is so cool. And then right before I go to post it, you've seen it too many times and all of a sudden now it's not cute or cool. So that part is kind of always a factor. But one thing that's helped me is I don't really, not to say I don't follow trends, like I'm so unique. It's not that because I definitely do follow trends, but I don't really do like dancing videos. It's not for me. I don't dance well. I have no rhythm. It wouldn't look cute. I don't like move my face the way that it's cute whenever they're like, oh my gosh. And it just doesn't work for me. I don't look good doing those things. And certain trends just don't really apply. They don't fit my style or my vibe. And not that I'm not cringe in my own way, but I feel like what helps me to feel more comfortable is that I'm posting things that I genuinely like. The fashion videos, the funny ones that I think are funny, the stupid little edit videos with those superpowers. I think those are cool. So it doesn't feel inauthentic and it doesn't feel cringe in that way because I'm not trying to be something that I'm not, if that makes any sense. But I think that if I were trying to post things and emulate someone else's style or try and find success doing the exact things that they've found success in, it would be more challenging because it's not coming from a place of genuine creativity or at least authenticity. So also sometimes you just have to get used to it. And I think after posting consistently for a long time, and it's not like my stuff is blown up. Like I have an average amount of followers. It's not like anything that I've done has been like, oh my gosh, how have you done this? It's not that. It's just that I've been posting for a long time and I enjoy it. And now it feels more like a fun outlet than like putting myself out there to be judged. And I think I've mentioned this before, but a lot of people go online and everyone, for the most part, at least that I've spoken to, would not object, if not, have this as a goal, would not object to having a platform based on things that they enjoy doing. So if you're a fashion girl and your TikTok or your Instagram blows up because of fashion, no one would complain about that. If you're a mom and all of a sudden your account blows up and you can be a mommy blogger, not many people would object to that. So I think a lot of people, whether it's their active goal that they're pursuing or it's more of a like, oh yeah, that'd be really cool. No one would object to having, PR packages and followers and everything else. If so, they're probably not online in the first place. But I think that's what gives me more comfort is knowing that everyone kind of has the same inclination to want to have success online. It just is a spectrum on how strong it is. So yeah, it might be cringe, but at the end of the day, all of us are looking at Alex Earl and being like, man, I should have started posting sooner. And if we all have the same goal, then no one can cringe at somebody else. I also just tend to think that people who judge and cringe and, bring other people down for pursuing something are people who are just too afraid to pursue it for themselves. So I'll let you stew with that one for a moment. Anyways, there's a quote that I really enjoy that says, don't kill the part of you that is cringe, kill the part of you that cringes. And At first listen, it sounds like it's just a very brain rot Gen Z TikTok thing. But what I like is that you don't kill the part of you that is cringe worthy, the part of you that you would laugh at or judge or think is embarrassing. You just kill the part of you that gets embarrassed. Lose that part of you. So when you look at your stuff and you're like, oh, this is bad. My voice sounds annoying. This isn't good. I shouldn't have posted that. My hands are being all weird. Get rid of that part of you. Don't get rid of the part of you that was brave enough to film in the first place. For example, if I may toot my own horn for a second, I posted my first speaking stories on Instagram on Friday. And that sounds so ridiculous considering I have a podcast that I post of me speaking upwards of an hour every single week and have for over a year. But for some reason, stories just feel more intimate. Like at least with the podcast, if people want to listen to me, they will click into the video. Stories are more just like, you follow me on Instagram, maybe just to be polite, and then you're going to see my face and have to listen to me, especially whenever we're talking like a minute or two on stories. And I'm like, they probably don't want to listen to this. They're just going to tap through it. But you know what? Who cares? If I have something to say, it's not that weird to jump on stories and talk about it. Also, that's what everyone says. It's like, pop on stories or just want to jump on here and say this. I don't know why that is what it is. We kind of just adopt the same trends and mannerisms. And I do think it's funny, too, that there's a lot of things that we will do, like this little number right here is the thing that TikTok, like, created. And now everyone does that in their videos. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. We're not cringing anymore. So if you have something you've been wanting to post, if you want to be like a foodie or like a recipe girl or whatever else, you know I'm going to be in your comments saying how amazing you are because we all deserve to be clapped for when we're putting ourselves out there. Moving along again. Treating, obviously, the Momstera. Honestly, the tea, I don't think I've said anything that's not Urban Grounds in several episodes. So that should just be rebranded as a full Urban Grounds segment. It's right by my house. It's amazing. The staff is all amazing. The coffees are amazing. There's no world in which I can stop obsessing over Urban Grounds. So, Urban Grounds, hit me with that sponsorship. If not, I'm just going to continue speaking highly of you and drinking your coffee and spending all my money there. So it really doesn't matter to you if you sponsor me or not. Okay, so going back to what we were talking about as far as inadequacy. Woo! So I have been watching a lot of Alex Earl lately, as I'm sure we all have. And I go through phases because I have always thought that she's so cool and she's so fun and entertaining. But recently I've been watching her more than usual. Like I've been watching all of her podcast episodes and her travel content, and she's in Europe and it just looks so dreamy and amazing. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's aware of this, but I had several trains of thought because one of them is that she's literally living the dream life. And I think that one of the reasons that people are not envious of her is that she's almost on a level that's so unattainable because she's hitting everything that people have previously thought to be impossible, like the Sports Illustrated cover of their new digital magazine, the fact that she has millions of followers on Instagram and TikTok. She's got a super successful podcast. She's got all of these brand collaborations. She's speaking on panels. You know, she's traveling across the world. But the part that is even more unattainable, I feel like, is her work ethic and the insane output of content that she has. So if she's posting on an average day on this Europe trip that she's on, she'll do a get ready with me video while she's doing her makeup. She'll do a get dressed with me video while she's doing her outfit. She'll also do a daily vlog. And then throughout the day, she'll do several different like voiceovers or fun trends or transitions. And from a content perspective, of course, as a consumer, that's amazing. But from a content creator perspective, you're looking at that. She probably had to start and stop multiple videos at the same time because she's doing her day in the life, which is usually beginning before she does her makeup. So she's starting that. She's filming clips for both of them, which means she's exiting out of the TikTok app. She's filming that, like getting from one draft to the next draft and then saving it and then going to the other one and back and forth. She has to have all these audios saved in advance, plan out when she's going to do them, make sure to incorporate time because everyone knows it's not just one take. It's rarely one take. So you have to account for time to get, you know, all your content in, do your voiceovers. And for me, it takes probably 30 minutes to do a good voiceover just because you have to like watch the video, edit the video, figure out what you're going to say, record all the clips, make sure it's cut down appropriately, and then post it. So 30 minutes is like a pretty quick turnaround to get a full like 90-second voiceover. And that probably sounds preposterous if you're not one who does those, but trust me. So I'm looking at all her stuff and like she just cranks these videos out like it's no problem. And the forethought that has to go into them and the research and everything else, it's overwhelming to try and do all of those things and be present and live your life and have a good relationship. And no one knows really what's going on behind closed doors. So we can only assume based on what we're shown. But I'm looking at all those things and thinking, how on earth does she do that? And everyone wants to be an influencer in a way, which I know I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean. a lot of people want to be an influencer, but do you want to post that frequently for that long and create content at that level? Because even now, not traveling to Milan and Capri and all these things and doing meetings and brand deals and everything else that she's doing, it's very difficult to create that level of content that consistently. So I think she deserves everything that she has and probably more. But that got me thinking, with all of us wanting to be influencers, and again, I know I'm generalizing. So if you're like, I don't want to be an influencer, don't loop me in with that. Just know that there's an asterisk every time I say that and you're not included. So don't fret. I see you and I stand with you, except I don't, because all of us want that Alex Earl lifestyle at least a little bit. So I think that seeing that and then seeing a lot of my friends that have been like on their constant posting grind, shout out to all of you guys that are putting in the work. It's amazing to see, but it kind of started this spiral where it's like, I want to also do that. Because even if I never blow up, I don't care. I love to post. I love to look back on my own stuff, look back on daily vlogs from, December of last year, and I was doing a ton of them, or the summer before, and all these different things, and be able to see these glimpses into my life and how I was viewing things and whatnot. I think that it's so fun to be able to look back on, regardless of if nothing ever comes from it. That's not always the point. So I'm feeling this added pressure to start posting more, partially because everyone has this like keeping up with the Joneses need. Maybe not, maybe it's just me, but it's like a weird thing where you see other people doing it and you're like, you know what, I can do this. I should be doing this. Then it's subconsciously added to your plate. And then you see all these videos that I wish that I was doing, or things that I wish that I had filmed. And with all these trips, especially, I'll see how other influencers or Alex Earl or any other people do these travel vlogs and then do these videos. And I'm like, man, I just all these cool things and I didn't film them. And that's one of the things that gets me all the time, is that I've done so many cool things in my life, especially recently, that if I had just been filming them, I think it would have been so amazing to look back on. And of course I have video clips and I have compilations and I have whatever else, but there was always that weird feeling of like, this is cringe. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't film in public. I shouldn't film this. So there's so much of a lack where there could have been an abundance of extra things that I had done and could look back on if I was just able to break out of that, scared shell a little bit earlier. But kind of where I'm going with this is that that's one of the reasons that I've been feeling pressure. And I don't know if this is an everyone thing, but sometimes you just look around, you being me, and see everyone online, and you'll scroll and okay, there's Alex Earl and she's in Italy. And then I scroll again and it's this girl that has like an 8-pack of abs and she's doing these crazy workouts and she can do all these physical things and she's amazing. And then I scroll again and it's a pregnancy announcement. And then I scroll again and it's a pregnancy announcement. And then I scroll again and it's a pregnancy announcement. Then you scroll again and it's this amazing mom/wife that's making all these things from scratch and she's doing all these home improvements and the laundry's done and everything's beautiful. And then you scroll again and it's somebody on their podcast grind doing all of these extra things and clipping their podcast more than I am. And, just really putting in the work in that aspect. And then you scroll again and you see somebody else that just got, went on another trip to wherever. And sometimes it just feels like you can't win in any aspect. So I have to remind myself that whenever you scroll, you're seeing one person whose focus is fitness. And that's what they give most of their time to, their nutrition, their energy, their research. You see them in their specialty, and then you compare it to something that's only a minor facet of your life. So obviously it's not going to be apples to apples. But then you scroll again and you see, like I said, these mommy/wife bloggers, or just people in your own life that are really killing it at marriage and motherhood. And then you compare yourself to that. And then you scroll again and you see somebody whose actual job is to create content. Of course, they're creating more content than you. But you're comparing all of the individual avenues that you're interested in your own life to everyone else's specialty. So it's hard not to feel like you're just always in last place. And that's where I've been at lately, is just scrolling through and seeing somebody who has the most beautiful skincare routine and it's perfect and they've done the research and their skin is glowing. And I'm like, oh shoot, I haven't done that. I'm still kind of, half-assing it. I have the products, but I don't really know if I'm using them in the right order. And, sometimes the makeup wipe is what we go with. Don't tell Brie. And it's just one of those things that you feel like you should be doing and then you don't. Or then I scroll and I'm like, I thought I was on my workout grind. I gotta quit saying that. That's getting annoying. I thought I was in my workout stage and really putting in the extra effort in that regard. And then you see somebody else that then makes you realize, oh no, apparently I'm not, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I maybe never have. So it's very difficult to compare constantly. And I know deep down, even surface level. I know comparison is the thief of joy. I know all these things. You shouldn't compare yourself. Don't compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. I know all those things, but sometimes it's just more difficult than others to overcome. And based on the number of responses that I got to that TikTok and then to that message, whenever I posted it on my Instagram story, I think a lot of us are feeling that same way. So just, I don't have a solution. I'm just letting you guys know. I've been feeling a little bit inadequate, like just comparing myself. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've been traveling so much that it's so difficult not to feel behind. And I've been loving everything I'm doing. And I have made so many vast strides as far as improving my attitude and being able to be busy and behind and not miserable, because there was a time in my life where if I was not on top of things 100%, it would consume me with so much anxiety that I would not be able to enjoy a second of my day. It would keep me up at night. It would just ruin my social plans. If I was out in public with friends, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it because all of my energy would be devoted to thinking about how to get all the things done. And then by the time you get everything done, you've missed out on all those memories. So it's kind of cyclical and it just drains the life and the enjoyment out of you. And I've been trying to really leave that part of me behind as I grow up. But again, that is easier said than done. But for example, let's go back to the trips. So at the beginning of the month, I went on this girls trip. It was amazing. I don't know if you guys remember the 87,000 posts that we made, but this was a pretty quick trip to come together. It was like, I don't know, it was less than a month prior that we booked it, maybe just around the month mark, but it was something that came up super, super quick. And it was like, I think for all of us, because we're all like friends, but also clients of one another. And it was Bree Wise and then Rachel Eddings from Skinwise. I shouldn't be fully name dropping. I guess that's kind of weird. But it was Bree and Rachel from Skinwise, Callie from Urban Grounds, Bree from our friend group, and then also from American Cancer Society. She is the head woman for this whole area, and she's fantastic. And hopefully, will come on the podcast soon. And then Abby from Millwood and Simone, obviously Simone. You know Simone, the one from the 2-hour episode, but. And that's everybody, right? Yeah, that's it. And myself, duh. But it was the most fun trip. It kind of came about very quickly because we had all been hanging out for work purposes. We hadn't been doing anything really outside of that. It's all been to cross promote, to do content, and to find a way to advertise all of our brands in an organic way. So not just partnerships that don't make sense, but trying to figure out like what works together and how we can get this out to all of our audiences and really find a mutual benefit. Blah, blah, blah. So in doing that, we were all kind of just venting, literally as we're filming content and being like, I'm so exhausted. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. And it turned into one of those things where we're like, yeah, we all need a vacation. That would be so nice. Yeah, whatever. And then it was like, wait, should we take a vacation? Should we take a girls trip? And literally like, it was so fast. The house happened to be available. And then we checked dates and dates happened to be available. And I remember driving home and everyone's like, does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And I'm like, I gotta ask my husband. So I like flew home, came inside. He's doing what he does. I'm like, is it okay if I take this girls trip in like not that much time? And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. King. And it happened so fast that I think that all of us were like still trying to process that we're going on this trip, because I haven't taken a girls trip since the bachelorette party for my sister-in-law the year before, like last March. So I don't know if I've ever taken a girls trip just for the sake of taking a girls trip, especially one that's like that, where you're flying and it's not just like a weekend thing. So it came to be, it was so perfect. And we were trying to figure out how to make good content out of it, because of course, if we're going and we're all business owners, we should find a way to make it beneficial to our businesses. And it was honestly one of the least dramatic, calm, fun, heartwarming, fulfilling experiences, because one of the factors I think was that we all went into it needing a genuine respite and vacation. And it wasn't like a, let's go celebrate whoever, it's last fling before the ring. There wasn't really a purpose to it besides relaxation and, friendship. That was amazing. Also, we planned out as much as we possibly could beforehand. That was also very helpful. So shout out to Abby and everyone who was really like the camp counselor of the friend group as far as planning things. And then another factor is I think that since not all of us we're not like best friends, we're very good friends, but we're not the kind of people that hang out like 24/7, and everyone kind of has their own stuff and you're not talking all the time. And I think that helps because you're all like, you're on your best behavior a little bit more than you would be ordinarily. And it's hard to say because we're all so very close. Like we would go and share our deepest, darkest secrets and our emotions and cry. Like I was crying in the plane right over there. We're all just like having a life talk on the flight and just, oh my God, I'm so thankful for you. And then we also don't talk every single day. And I think part of that is getting older. You know, you don't really talk to everyone every single day. And that's not a barometer of how close you are to those people. But everyone was still polite and very nice. And I've been on girls trips before, even me being the rude one, where you just are so close to everyone that you forget to be like kind, or you forget to not have an attitude because you think that, you know, everyone's tired or they're cranky and then things just get out of hand. But it was amazing. And we had this house. It was the most beautiful Airbnb. I will dream about it for the rest of my life. But it was so gorgeous that we didn't really want to leave a whole lot. So we had like a chef come out one night and do hibachi. We had a Pilates instructor, shout out to Sam, come out and teach Pilates class. We also had a little picnic come out to the house. We only really left for one brunch and then one dinner. And it was the most amazing thing ever. And we had we had the best night. Like when we went out somewhat early because we went to a nice dinner at this place called Toca Madera where they have flaming shots, and we had this beautiful meal. And then we decided to go out like just to actually enjoy time out, especially for the ones that don't get time away from their children that often. And it's like 9:30, which by nightlife standards apparently is about 7 p.m. So we get invited to this club, and we went next door, and they're like, we'll give you a free booth and free bottle service if you guys just come in. So they invited us in, and we're like, we weren't going to go here, but okay, if you said free. So we go inside, and the club is like dead. Like they're the only other people that are in this area with us are 2 other bachelorette parties. So I'm not sure if they assumed that we were a bachelorette party. We didn't have the sashes or like the coordinating outfits or anything, but maybe they just assumed a group of girls, someone must be getting married. So we went in, they gave us this booth, they gave us the free like bottles and the sparklers and everything else. And the club is empty. So we had the best time because there was no one around save for the other girls that were at their respective booths. But it was the most like fun experience without creepy guys hanging around, without anything like concerning. We were all dancing together and it wasn't hot. It was literally one of those unicorn experiences that I don't think you could ever recreate, but we had such a good time. It was so fun. And then the next day, like every morning started with us waking up slowly. Of course, I wake up so early just naturally because of who I am as a person. But the first morning let me backtrack. First night, we're hanging out. We're having like espresso martinis and wine and hanging out by the pool, just talking, reflecting on our travel day and whatnot. And there are these drinks called Lover Boys, and they're in a little can, and they have espresso martinis, which are so good. I'm trying actively to track them down for my next girls' weekend, but they are evading me. I will continue my search. But I was having a little espresso martini. It was so good. And then I woke up, and I already have trouble sleeping, I have trouble sleeping, period. And then being not in my home and everything else, it was just not the recipe for a long, restful night. But I wake up at 3 a.m. and my heart is pounding. Like it's racing so fast that I almost went over and woke Brie up and was like, can you do a checkup on me? What's going on? And I started timing my heart rate. I'm like, it's like 117 beats per minute. This is like a workout. What is going on? So I'm freaking out. I'm hot. I'm like, I'm not home. Like what's happening to me? And then I looked up the nutrition facts of the espresso martini, and it turns out it is actually 2 in 1 can, which is like 4 to 5 shots of espresso that I had right before bed. So that's why I was so wired. And then me freaking out about it didn't really help matters, but whatever. I chugged some waters and everything was fine. But then I woke up super early the next day, like 4:50, because we had traveled west. So it's like 6:50 here, which is my normal wake up time. But I went to go make a coffee at the little Nespresso that they have. And it turns out that thing is louder than I would say a continent breaking in half. Like when Pangea split apart, I think that's probably the sound that this Nespresso machine was making. I was petrified because I'm with people that have young children that aren't used to getting a lot of sleep, especially not, early in the morning. And we had just traveled in and we were up late. And then this Nespresso machine is so loud. And I was like, they're all going to kill me. They're going to be so mad at me. I can't believe I did this. I'm the only one without kids. Of course, I'm going to wake everybody else up. But luckily, no one woke up except for Callie. Callie, I love you. I'm so sorry. Hopefully you don't mind mornings. But every morning would start with us like grabbing a coffee, hopefully quieter than my one espresso, and like filing outside one by one just to see like everyone gets to sleep in, and we would chit chat, and it was just so wholesome and nice. And then we would break up into different activities. Like half the group got massages at the house. Half of us went to go hike. We had the picnic. We did Pilates. We laid by the pool all day. We packed so much into each day, but we also still got to relax, which is amazing. Every day felt like about 5 days in the best way, where we would think back to the morning and be like, that is a light year ago, I'm pretty sure. But it was so much fun. It was incredible. And it was one of those trips that it was the perfect amount of time to where we left. And in the airport, we're like, bye, I love you so much. I can't wait to see you again. This was such a good time. I just appreciate you. And we're all posting like girlhood, love you so much, core memories. Like it was one of those trips that you leave feeling so fulfilled. And there's definitely been the other kind of trips where you get to the airport and everyone's like, deuces, smell you later, do not talk to me. And that's not really a reflection on the type of people. I think it's just sometimes the trip, the energies are different or the activities are different or whatever else. And especially on bachelorette parties where only one person knows everyone else is kind of just paired up. So that's beside the point. It was just amazing. I have zero complaints. It was beautiful. And it was just the most unicorn time of something that came together so perfectly. And of course, I guess in an ideal world, then you could bring everyone that you're close to, or like I could take a trip with my long-term best friends and everything else. But sometimes you just have to jump on the chances when they pop up. And I feel like I say no to a lot of girls' trips or things that are down the road because I just don't know where I'm going to be. I also have anxiety about committing to things down the road. So committing to something that's only 4 or 5 weeks away is a lot easier for me than committing to something that's like 6 to 8 months away. So that's why this one just was the most perfect thing and it worked out so great. However, I am exhausted. And then coming back home from that week, I had probably 5 to 6 days to unpack, do all my laundry, get all my work done, catch up, hang out with Austin, which is my priority, and then move forward to the next trip, which was going to Charleston. So I got back home on a Sunday and I left the following Saturday. I'm about to break a sweat, guys. It's so hot in here. Hang on a second. Hello, I'm back. Sans blazer. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the caffeine. Maybe it's the fact that I've been up already for like 3 hours. But I was getting a little toasty and we don't want that because it is going to be a long day and I have to be in my skin and outfit and makeup all day long. Where was I? So I had to leave pretty quickly. It was a pretty rapid turnaround and I don't usually mind that, but I always get really emo whenever I'm leaving Austin. I know this is kind of lame, but I just love him so much. But being gone is great, except for that part. Like every time I remember that he's home, I'm like, oh. And the thing is, he loves being alone. We are both the same. I feel much better almost being the one that's left behind because I know that I actually enjoy being left behind and having the house to myself. He is the exact same way. He will golf, he'll watch his shows, he'll do whatever he does. He lives for it, as do I. But for some reason, whenever I'm the one that's like doing the leaving and being gone, I always just picture him sitting at home, like staring out the window into the rain, slowly starving, even though I am not the one that cooks anyways. So it just makes me sad. So I'm trying to fit in all this time with him. And then I feel lame, even though I know that marriage comes first. But then when friends are like, we should get together this week while you're home. I'm like, well, yeah, but I only have 5 evenings with him. And I don't really see him during the day because we both work. So I really just want to spend that time with him. And then I feel oddly guilty, even though I would encourage everyone to prioritize their marriage because I don't want to be that friend that's always like, sorry, I want to hang out with my husband. Unfortunately, though, I am. So that I apologize to all my friends. It's just that I just love him so much and I can't be away from him for that long. And with being gone twice, usually I don't like to be gone that frequently. The last time I've been gone twice in 1 month was whenever I was traveling for work. And that's something that you can argue is like a little bit more necessary versus these 2 trips that I was on in June are purely for enjoyment. So then I went to Charleston with my family. I flew out Saturday evening and I love flying by myself. I know I've talked about this before, but it's like the weirdest. You step into an alternate dimension, like a time vortex you step in, especially whenever you're in different airports, like the Springfield airport. Not that special. That's crazy. But whenever you go into wherever your layover is and then the airport that you get picked up from, it kind of just feels like you step into a different world and no one really knows who you are and no one's paying attention to you. And there's all these like random spots to get food and it feels like calories don't count and you can get this junk food. And like I'm having pizza bites and an iced coffee and a donut at 11 p.m. at night, listening to my Tumblr playlist, staring at the window. It's just like the weirdest thing and I love it. And I also am one of those people that loves to schedule time just to like think and be moody. So I had been planning for these flights and I didn't bring any extra entertainment besides like cleaning up my camera roll, listening to my playlist and thinking through all my thoughts. So there's always like a knot of just things happening all at once. And if I have times like the long walks that I go on or like long flights, I pop in my headphones, I sit back and I just like go to work. I probably am like drooling, like staring off into space. My eyes are defocused. They're going different directions. But I'm like tangling all these things and making sure like, okay, this goes here and this goes here and whatever else. So that was amazing. I really enjoyed my night flights and I was chit-chatting with different people and I don't know. I'm one of those people that's obnoxious on flights where if I'm in a good mood, like if I'm excited, which I usually am if I'm traveling or coming home, I love coming home too, then I'm like, where are you going? Where are you coming from? I will talk to anybody. I don't care. And if they're not biting, if they're kind of like, whatever, I'm not going to push them. I'm not unable to read the room most times. But sometimes, especially if I have older people that are in the seat next to me, they are nervous, or they just want to chit chat, or it's somebody who like is traveling by themselves as well, then, I'll fill that space for sure. I love to talk. So it was actually super fun. And my flight from Charlotte to Charleston was only like 30 minutes. And there were two guys in front of me or next to me. One of them was going to visit his family and one was visiting his girlfriend. So we're all like sharing stories and recommendations because we were kind of going different, like laying over, but going different places. So it was just wholesome. Like I love human interaction. I love people. Until the airplane lands and everyone's like elbowing and trying to throw these WWE moves to get to the the jet bridge faster than somebody else. And whenever I'm traveling alone, I never pay for seat assignments. So I always end up in like 26F, which is the last seat on the plane. And there's nothing more like embarrassing. Actually, I don't care. But there's nothing more funny, I guess, than walking back. I'm like boarding group 9, which consists of 3 people. And it's me and 2 other people. And I don't mind boarding last because it's just less time to sit on the plane and wait. But then you board and everyone's like in their seat already. They have their snack. They have their eye mask on, their headphones. They're staring at you like, what took so long? I'm like, they just called my group. What do you have to do? They just called my group. I have been out there for an extra 45 minutes waiting to get on the plane. And then you go straight to the back and you sit down. Your seat doesn't recline because you're in the very back seat. And sometimes you get really unlucky and there's not even a window because you're so far back. So it's not glamorous. Like, it's fun, but it's always a little adventurous. Anyways, I had a most amazing time. I'm not going to recap the family trip because I don't think you guys care that much. You saw a million posts from it. I did get a request to do a voiceover like video of the trip, but then make my brother do the voiceover. So I might do that if he'll participate. We'll see. But it was a really good time. And I haven't taken a family trip ever. We were just not a traveling family growing up. And my brother played travel sports. So that's where all of the funds and also time and energy went to. So we didn't just go on vacation. We did do one trip with my grandparents and cousins a couple years ago to Florida. And that was like the extended family for my grandparents' 50th anniversary. But besides that, the 4 of us, my mom, dad, brother, and I have just not taken a trip. Austin was invited. My parents don't hate him. He just could not get off work because he owns the company and he needs to be here for the busy season. So honestly, though, it was kind of nice to go without him, only in the sense that you only have so many chances in your adult life to feel like a kid again. So traveling with your husband and family is always different than traveling with just your family because you can kind of regress into that kid space a little bit. And I don't know, it was just nice to be around my family, my brother, and he's getting older and we're close friends. My parents and I are close friends and we just had a really great time. And I made my parents go to like this little dive bar one night because I'd never really been to a dirty, like nasty dive bar. And we're the only ones in there because it was a Monday evening. But we played skee ball and it was just funny to see my parents in that environment and kind of be in those situations that you don't get to because they're busy parenting you. But then as you get older, you're able to see them, in a different light. And there were just a lot of good memories made in June. But coming back from that trip, I got back on a Wednesday around midnight. And then last week I kept Thursday as a work from home day because I had scheduled all my posts and all my work through Thursday. But that's as far as I could get because I only had a week to do all that. So I worked, got my stuff caught up, did everything else. And I always try really hard not to make my clients feel the impact of me being gone because while I do have the flexibility to travel and do these things, my clients didn't sign up for me to be gone all the time. It's not like I have paid vacation. There's not somebody that can step in for me and handle all these things. So if I'm traveling, I really try to respond to emails and to be accessible if they need me for anything. So it was just a very busy past 3 weeks. And then Austin had surgery on Monday. He was getting his nose repaired. He had a deviated septum. He's had some sinus issues. He's got all kinds of stuff. He had a big bone spur on his nose. Basically anything that can be wrong with your nose, he had. So on Monday, he had a big surgery and I was working from the waiting room, totally fine. Yesterday, I was at home with him all day because he's all bloody and not great. And then today I had to do all my shoots and I just put everything into one day so that I only have to leave one time. And his mom is going to sit with him because we both think that the 30-year-old man needs to be babysat. And it just makes me feel better to know that he's there with somebody, even though I know that he's totally fine, probably. But it was a good idea in theory when I put everything onto one day. And then I was thinking, I haven't recorded the podcast yet. I could have done it from home, but it just helps me get into the headspace to do it here. And the audio quality is better. And I like the studio and whatever. So I was like, you know what? I'll just podcast at like 6:40 in the morning. What is the big deal? It should be totally fine. So just know that I love you guys that much. And it probably has not been that significant of an episode thus far. And that's okay because the past 2 have been like more in-depth guest episodes. So here's just a little chit chat. Mainly, I guess my headspace right now, I'm just feeling overwhelmed. If you couldn't tell by me just the whole time, I've just been feeling like I can't get ahead of things. And part of it is from the travel. If you listen to all of it, you're probably thinking, well, girl, did you hear your schedule? That could be a factor into the overwhelm. Part of it is definitely that. And it's compounded from months of being busy and from being gone, and then here and then gone, and so on. And I'm oddly looking forward to having no trips planned, even though I would not put it past myself to, if offered something, be like, okay, I'll book a flight. But for now, I have no trips planned. That's not in the cards for me in the immediate future. But I think that it's just exciting to be able to enjoy life because, like I mentioned before, I love going somewhere, but I also love coming home. And I think that that's such a blessing that I don't ever want to forget, especially traveling with people. You know, all the girls that I went with in my family, everyone's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to get back to real life. But I've traveled with people before that get very, genuinely depressed about about going home and not wanting to go home. And that just has always made me sad because I feel like I've had that in the past with different jobs where Sunday comes around, you get the Sunday scaries, you're not loving where you're at. And I'm so fortunate to be in a place where I love every day. Even days like today, whenever I know they're going to be a marathon day and I'm going to be exhausted at the end of it, I still love what I do. I love my clients. I love all these things. So it doesn't quite feel like as daunting as days in the past have been. So I'm excited to just get to enjoy my life and not escape from it for a while. But there's just so much to catch up on. And then, like I said, I'm feeling like my workout habits are all out of whack. I get some workouts in, but between the traveling and then being home and then Austin, I just have not had a good schedule. It's not been very regimented, and I've been missing spin classes, and I actually love going to spin classes. Izzy is the most amazing instructor. Sit and Spin is such a fun studio, and I've been sad about missing those. It just feels like I've been out of whack. And then my work routine, while I love how flexible it is, I would like to have a little bit more structure into it because I've been working, from waiting rooms and then in the evening and then on planes and then in terminals. And it just feels like it's been very scattered. And then I have so many friends that I desperately want to see, but I've been having to push the hangouts off either because I have not been in the state or because I am trying to spend time with Austin or because I have to catch up on work or because I just don't have the energy to be a good friend or to be like a good companion. So it's better to wait. Like I had a couple friends that I was really trying to see yesterday, and I just knew that with, Austin being not so great, then if they come over, it's going to be a whole thing because I'm going to be watching him the whole time, and it's not really fair to him to have people over whenever he's feeling horrible and be like, okay, it's actually my social hour, so if you could keep your complaining to a minimum, that doesn't feel normal, but then I feel bad for my friends that I've been trying to hang out with for weeks. Then again, being like, oh, sorry guys, I actually can't hang out this week. Let's look at maybe second week of July. Can we look at Q3 maybe? Because that's obnoxious because who am I to not be able to hang out with my friends because I love them? And I keep telling myself that this season is going to pass and eventually I'm going to be back into a slow, not busy, like super calm season. And then I'll be like thinking, when can I book a flight next? When can I do this? And that's how things always go. You go through chaos and you go through calm. And when you're in the midst of both of them, you seem to forget how the other one feels. I don't think that any of us, maybe not, maybe just me, I don't think that we have a good sense of like emotional permanence. So we can only really feel what we're feeling in that given period of our lives. And then when it passes, we completely forget and we're thinking about the other emotion is the only one that we can feel. So that's definitely a struggle for me. And I'm trying to remember that this is the chaos and eventually I'm going to have ample time to probably podcast multiple times a day. I have so many guests I want to bring on. I'm scheduling them out. It's going to be so good. You guys are in for a treat. But it's just one of those things that I'm like just feeling very cluttered mentally. And I had a really good walk last night and I was actually talking out loud to myself. My walks are very cringe. Like I'll have my headphones on. I'll be doing a full on like dance routine lip sync to a Mamma Mia soundtrack song, and I'll stop, take my headphones off. I'll be walking, self-talking myself, and then be saying, tomorrow's going to be a busy day. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be hard, but it's going to end. Everything's going to pass. You're a good person. You're a good wife. You're a good friend. It's okay if you're not as good as you have been. You can get better. Like I'm actually self-talking because sometimes it just feels better to get your words out loud. So if anyone was like on the trail and was like, what is that girl doing? Is she okay? Like I'm putting in a whole theatrical performance, a monologue, but that's just what you have to do to cope sometimes. And I have been journaling and I actually have my journal in my bag with me right now, even though I know I'm not going to have any time at all today to sit down and do it. And I'm trying to film a day in my life because why wouldn't I? It's fun to have them. And I know that I will always look back on like the videos that I film and think, I'm so glad I have this. I can see a glimpse into my life at that given point. I'm not going to sit there and think, wow, I was so overwhelmed having to film extra 15-second clips all day long. that was so stressful. It's not that hard. Okay. Kim, there's people that are dying. So with that being said, it's just a lot of things that I'm trying to juggle that are really not that heavy, but whenever you're in the midst of it, everything seems so insurmountable. But if anyone else out there is feeling like they're not winning at anything, like you're not getting anything done, then I'm right there with you. And I think that's okay. It's not, I don't know any point in my life that I felt like actually there's a couple, there's a couple points where I felt like I was on top of the world, like I was killing everything, just doing amazing. But then looking back, I can see they were either very, very short periods of time, like a day or an hour, where I felt like I was doing great. Or I felt like I was doing great, and then you can look back and think like, oh, I actually was not taking care of myself, or I was not letting this part of my life succeed, or whatever. I'm not making any sense today. I think that I've kind of been jumbled and talking all over the place, and there's not really been any real substance to this message because I am, what is the word? Mentally drained. But I do love to podcast, and I think that that's what I learned, if nothing else, this week, is that I missed it a lot. And I love that we had such a good conversation with Taylor and that I was able to use that for 2 different weeks to really give that episode its time to shine. But after not talking, I had like a mental list of everything that I wanted to say, and I just don't have enough time to get into it. So maybe I'll go back and add like a little at-home session, but maybe not. So if you're listening to this and it says that you're in the last few minutes of the episode, then I probably did not decide to go back and add more. But if not, I'll catch you guys next week. I have a lot of fun stuff coming up. Just let me know what you want to see because, like I said, I'm in Springfield perpetually now. So we're getting real close to 100 episodes. It's going to be another 16 weeks. That's going to fly by, guys. It's going to be so crazy. Only 4 more months. Unless I decide to do more episodes per week just to speed there. But there's no reason to do that. At this point, I'm just rambling. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you so very much. You're the only thing I would get up this early for, except for a flight or a good workout or maybe like a fun coffee date. Maybe I actually don't hate mornings as much as I thought. But I love you guys so much. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Send me any of your tips or tricks for getting over imposter syndrome, for getting over these feelings of inadequacy, and I will do my best to figure out some solutions and some tips and hit you guys next week with some more girl talk and love. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Hope you have all mountains, no valleys. Treat yourself on Friday, and I will see you next Thursday.